my best friend, stole my business idea, but I turned the tables and became more successful. I had always thought of my best friend as someone I could trust with anything. We had been inseparable since high school, building each other up and sharing our dreams. So, when I came up with a brilliant business idea, I didn't think twice about sharing it with them. Little did I know, they had other plans. Not only did they steal my idea, but they also tried to run with it behind my back. I was left in the dust, but instead of letting it crush me, I turned the tables. What followed was a journey I never expected, and one that would ultimately lead me to even greater success than I had imagined. It all started when I came up with an idea for a business that I was genuinely excited about. It was something I had been passionate about for a long time, but never had the time or resources to pursue. I had spent months researching, testing prototypes, and refining the idea. My heart raced as I imagined how successful it could be. I was ready to dive in head first, and I knew I needed someone I could trust to help me get started. That's where my best friend Alex came in. We had always been close, bouncing ideas off each other and supporting one another. I'd been through thick and thin with Alex, and I didn't think twice before sharing my plans. I told them about the concept, explained the market potential, and even shared the business model I had been working on. I was transparent about everything, hoping to get their input and maybe even collaborate. At first, Alex was enthusiastic. "This is amazing," they said. "You're going to crush it." But the more I talked, the more I started to see something in their eyes. It was subtle, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. They seemed a little too eager to help, a little too invested in the idea. We spent the next few weeks brainstorming together, and Alex offered a few suggestions that seemed helpful. But the entire time, I was focused on getting the ball rolling. I started creating a business plan, setting up a website, and securing the first round of funding. All I needed was a bit of support, and I thought Alex would be the perfect partner. I couldn't have been more wrong. Things seemed to be going well at first. Alex and I continued to work together on the business idea, but I started noticing little things that didn't sit right with me. At first, it was small. They began taking more control of the decisions, pushing their ideas forward in a way that felt like they were trying to take over. They were still supportive on the surface, but there was an edge to their involvement that I couldn't ignore. One day, I went to check on the website we were building together. I had just secured the domain name and started to build the foundation for the business when I realized something strange. Alex had been working on it while I was away for a few days, but when I logged in, I noticed a few things had changed. They had updated the branding, added new sections, and most concerning of all, the business's name was now different, without consulting me. I immediately called them. "Hey, I saw the changes on the site. Why did you update the name without running it by me?" Alex sounded casual, almost defensive. "I just thought it would be a stronger name. You know, something more memorable. I've been talking to a few people in my network and they all think it's a great fit." I tried to remain calm. "I appreciate the input, but we need to be on the same page about decisions like this. It's our business, remember?" They brushed it off with a laugh. Of course, I just wanted to make sure everything was aligned. Don't stress about it. I didn't want to make a scene, so I let it slide, but something didn't feel right. The name change felt more like a move to claim ownership rather than collaborate. It was the first red flag, but I didn't want to overreact. It didn't take long for the situation to escalate. A few weeks after that conversation, I made another attempt to meet with Alex about some key business decisions. I wanted us to plan our pitch for investors, refine our marketing strategy, and solidify the final steps before we officially launched. But when I showed up at their apartment, I was blindsided by what I found. Alex had invited a few mutual friends over to celebrate something, but when I walked in, I was greeted with something I didn't expect: a fully branded presentation about our business, the business I had conceived, designed, and planned. The slides, the pitch deck, the logo, all of it. But there was one major detail that made my stomach drop. Alex's name was front and center, listed as the founder of the company. "Alex, what is this?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. They turned toward me, a sheepish grin on their face. "Oh, I've been working with a few investors. I thought it was time to get things rolling. This is the first step. The business is growing fast, and we need to be ahead of the curve." I froze, not believing what I was hearing. "You've been talking to investors without telling me?" Alex shrugged, clearly trying to downplay the situation. "Well, you've been so busy with the other stuff. I thought I could take the lead on this part. Plus, they liked the idea. We've got some solid interest, so I've been moving forward with it. I felt my face flush. You've been talking to investors behind my back? You're trying to take my idea, our idea, and claim it as your own? Alex's grin faltered. I didn't think you'd mind. You've been so caught up in the details that I figured I'd handle the business side of things. I thought this was the best way to get things off the ground. This wasn't about handling the business side. It was about stealing my work and my vision. I could feel the betrayal washing over me, but I wasn't about to let them see how hurt I was. You're taking credit for something I built, I said, my voice firm now. I trusted you, Alex. This is not how we agreed to do this. They seemed to realize the severity of what they had done, but it was too late. The damage was done. The room felt suffocating as silence stretched between us. I stared at Alex, my best friend, the person I thought I could rely on, and I felt an overwhelming mix of anger and betrayal. My heart was racing, my hands shaking slightly as I tried to process what had just happened. Alex finally broke the silence, but it wasn't an apology. I didn't want to hurt you, but this is a business. If we want to make it, we need to think big. I've already put us on the map. This is a great opportunity, and we can't waste it. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. They were justifying their actions, as if it was some business strategy to take control of what we had built together. I had been the one staying up late, sketching out the plans, crunching the numbers, and now they were trying to sell it like they were the genius behind the idea. I don't care about the investors, Alex. I care about the fact that you betrayed me. You knew how much this meant to me, and you just took it. You took my dream and tried to make it yours. They looked away, clearly uncomfortable. I didn't mean for it to happen like this. I thought I could do it better. I thought it would work out for both of us. That's the thing, I said, my voice steady now, despite the storm inside. It's not about doing it better. It's about working together, respecting each other. You didn't do that. You took my idea and ran with it. I paused for a moment, letting the weight of the situation sink in. The betrayal was deep, but I knew I couldn't let it go without action. As much as I wanted to just walk away and cut ties, I had spent too much time building this business to just let it slip through my fingers. But I wasn't going to do it on Alex's terms. I'm going to make sure the board and the investors know the truth, I said, my voice clear and resolute. I'll take what's mine back, and I'll make it work without you. Alex looked stunned, the reality of the situation hitting them. You're serious, aren't you? I'm dead serious, I replied. You might have taken the first step, but I'm going to finish what we started, and this time, it's going to be on my terms. The next few days were a blur of planning and strategizing. I had already spent so much time building the business from the ground up that it wasn't going to be easy to walk away from it now. But what Alex hadn't counted on was the fact that I had a whole network of people who believed in the idea, people I had been working with on the side, investors, advisors, potential partners. They knew me. They knew the truth. I started gathering my evidence, emails, meeting notes, business plans, all the stuff that proved I was the one who came up with the idea, not Alex. It wasn't just about getting revenge, it was about making sure that my hard work and ideas didn't go unrecognized. I didn't want to fight Alex, but I also wasn't about to let them take credit for everything I had done. I reached out to some key contacts, people I trusted, and explained the situation. I didn't go into details at first, just enough to show that I was serious about moving forward with the idea, without Alex. One by one, I secured meetings with the investors, and when the time came, I presented my business plan to them. It wasn't just a pitch for the idea anymore. It was a chance to show what I could do without Alex's interference. I focused on the vision I had created, emphasizing the strengths of the product and the long-term strategy. I also made sure to subtly emphasize the original origins of the business, the hard work I'd put in, and how my background made me the best person to lead this vision forward. What I didn't expect was the response I got. Not only did the investors appreciate the clarity and dedication of my presentation, but some of them were also a bit shocked to hear about the way things had been handled with Alex. They asked for more information, and I made sure to provide them with the documentation that proved my role in developing the business. As the meetings went on, the momentum began to shift in my favor. People were excited by my vision and impressed with how I handled the situation. It was clear that I was the driving force behind the idea, and suddenly, Alex's attempts to take credit seemed more like a desperate grab for power than a legitimate move. I had no idea how quickly things would escalate after my meetings with the investors. I had expected some pushback, or at least a tough road ahead, as I tried to wrest control of the business from Alex. But what happened next completely took me by surprise. A few days after my final pitch meeting, I received a message from one of the lead investors I had met with. His name was James, and he had been the most receptive to my vision. He called me up, his tone serious. "Hey, my name, we need to talk. There's been some developments, and I think you need to know." I could hear the tension in his voice, and it immediately set off alarm bells in my head. "What's going on?" I asked, trying to stay calm. "I've just spoken to Alex," James said. "They've made a pretty aggressive move, and I think it's important that you understand exactly what's happening." "Alex?" I repeated, confusion creeping in. "What do you mean? They've been working behind my back, claiming my work as their own. What move are you talking about?" "Well, I just got off the phone with them," James said, pausing for a beat. "They offered us a deal, a very generous one, by the way, to buy them out of the business entirely. They've said that you can have full control, but only if we move forward with their terms. They're trying to save face, but they've made it clear they're backing down, leaving you the space to run the show, on your own terms." I was stunned. Alex, the same person who'd stolen my business idea and tried to run with it, was now offering to step away, without even realizing they were the one who had already lost. "What's the catch?" I asked, wary of any hidden agendas. "No catch," James replied. "They're offering to leave the table, but they're hoping for a public apology. They want it to look like they did the right thing. They want to spin the narrative that you're now in charge, and they did you a favor by stepping back." I couldn't help but laugh, though it was a bitter laugh. "I don't need an apology from them. I need to know I can move forward without their interference." "Well, it's all yours now," James said. "We're backing you. The terms are set. You've got our full support moving forward." For a moment, I was speechless. I hadn't expected Alex to fold so quickly, especially after all the manipulation they had tried to pull off. But it was clear now that their plans had backfired. They had underestimated me, and in their attempt to steal my business, they had lost everything. I sat there for a moment, digesting everything James had said. The reality of it hit me slowly. I had just taken control of the business, and Alex was essentially out of the picture. There was no more competition, no more second-guessing my ideas. The investors were on my side, and they were backing me to lead this company forward. But I also knew that this victory didn't come without its emotional toll. The trust I had in Alex was shattered, and it hurt more than I cared to admit. It wasn't just about the business. It was about the years of friendship that now felt like they had been based on a lie. I immediately called Alex. When they picked up, their voice was distant. "Hey, what's up?" "I know what you're doing," I said bluntly, not wasting time. "I know you offered to step away and save face, but don't kid yourself. You don't get to pretend like you're the good guy here." There was a pause on the other end of the line. "I'm just trying to do the right thing," they said weakly. "Do the right thing?" I echoed, feeling the anger creep back into my voice. "You tried to steal my idea, Alex. You sabotaged me, and then tried to make it look like you were doing me a favor by backing out. But you don't get to rewrite this story. You don't get to play the hero now." I could hear their breathing get heavier, as if they were trying to compose themselves. I never wanted it to go this far. I was just scared. I thought if I could get ahead, things would work out for me. "And you thought you could just push me aside?" I asked, my voice rising. "You thought I wouldn't notice? This wasn't just a business move for you, was it? You've been trying to outdo me your whole life, and now you've ruined everything." "I'm sorry," they muttered, sounding defeated. "I didn't think it would end like this." "Well, it did," I said, my voice cold. "And you're going to have to live with that. The investors are backing me now. The business is mine, and I'm moving forward without you." There was silence, and for the first time, I felt a sense of closure. Alex had finally realized that their plan had backfired, and now they had to face the consequences. After that phone call, things shifted dramatically. I felt a sense of relief, but I also felt a weight on my shoulders. I had achieved the goal, control of the business, a clean break from Alex, but the emotional impact of it all was still sinking in. I had to move forward, but there was a part of me that couldn't help but grieve the loss of the relationship. A few days later, I got a message from Alex. It wasn't an apology, but it was a message that spoke volumes. "I've been doing a lot of thinking," they wrote. "I realize now how much I've messed up, and I'm sorry for everything. I won't try to take credit for your work anymore. I get it." When I read it, I didn't feel relief. I didn't feel vindicated. I felt tired. I had worked so hard to build something only to have someone I trusted try to take it away. But now, there was no turning back. I had already won. I wasn't sure what I wanted from Alex at this point. Maybe a real apology, maybe some closure. But I knew I couldn't keep dwelling on what was already done. The next few weeks passed quickly as I focused on growing the business. The investors who had initially been swayed by Alex's manipulation now saw my true vision. And things started moving faster than I could have hoped. We signed new deals, expanded our reach, and the momentum was undeniable. At one of the first big strategy meetings, James turned to me and said, "You've got something special here. You're not just running a business, you're changing the game. Keep this up, and you'll be leading the industry." Those words were exactly what I needed to hear. It wasn't just about getting back at Alex. It was about proving to myself that I could make this work on my own terms, without anyone standing in my way. As the weeks turned into months, I couldn't help but marvel at how much I had accomplished in such a short amount of time. The business was growing faster than I ever imagined, and what had initially been a personal betrayal now felt like the fuel I needed to push even harder. The more success I found, the more I realized that I was no longer just building a business. I was building a legacy. Every milestone felt like a personal victory, and I couldn't help but smile every time we crossed a new one. But with success came a different kind of pressure. The more my company grew, the more attention it attracted. I was constantly meeting with investors, finalizing partnerships, and working on the next big step. Sometimes it felt overwhelming, but I kept pushing forward. There were moments where I doubted myself, but I knew I couldn't stop. Not now, not after everything I had worked for. Then came the unexpected call. One afternoon, as I was preparing for a major pitch meeting, I received a message from Alex, the first one I'd gotten in weeks. I almost didn't want to read it, but curiosity got the better of me. "I know this probably doesn't mean much, but I wanted to say I'm proud of what you've built." The message read, "I see the work you're putting in, and it's impressive. You turned everything around." I was stunned. After everything that had happened, after they had tried to take credit for my work and sabotage my progress, now they were offering praise. It felt hollow at first. I wanted to ignore the message, to move on without even acknowledging it. But something stopped me. I realized that this message wasn't for them. It was for me. It was a recognition, not from anyone else, but from Alex. They had acknowledged my hard work, even if it came too late. It wasn't about needing their validation anymore. It was about realizing that no matter what they had done, I had come out stronger. A few months passed and I was in full swing. The business had become a well-oiled machine. The growth was accelerating, and it felt like everything I touched was turning to gold. I had learned so much about leadership, strategy, and resilience. But the feeling of victory wasn't just about how successful I had become. It was about proving to myself that I was capable of overcoming betrayal and making something even bigger out of it. Then came the day that I knew I needed closure. Alex had been sending sporadic messages, sometimes congratulating me on milestones, sometimes just checking in. It wasn't enough to reopen old wounds, but it made me realize that, for my own peace of mind, I needed to confront the past. I called them one evening, my heart beating a little faster than I expected. After everything that had happened, I was nervous to hear their voice again. But when Alex picked up, it was surprisingly calm. "Hey," I said, trying to sound neutral. "How's everything going?" Alex sighed, as if they had been waiting for this conversation. "It's going okay. I'm not going to lie. Things have been tough, but I'm doing better. I've been reflecting a lot." There was a pause before they continued. "Look, I know I've apologized before, but I want to say it again. What I did was wrong, and I understand if you don't want to hear it, but I want you to know I regret what I did." I wasn't sure how to respond. It wasn't an easy thing to forgive, but part of me wanted to move past it and find closure. "I don't think I'll ever forget what happened, Alex," I said honestly. "But I appreciate that you're taking responsibility for it. I've had to rebuild, not just the business, but my own sense of trust in people. I can't go back to how things were, but I've learned a lot through this." They were quiet for a moment, as if absorbing my words. "I understand," Alex replied. "I'm proud of what you've built, and I hope one day we can find a way to be in each other's lives again. Not like before, but just in a way that makes sense. I'm not asking for anything, just to say that I've learned from my mistakes." It wasn't the closure I had expected, but it was the closure I needed. I realized that forgiveness wasn't about forgetting. It was about moving forward. I didn't need to have Alex in my life to succeed, but knowing that they had recognized their mistakes gave me a sense of peace. Looking back on everything, it's hard to believe how far I've come. What started as a betrayal, something that could have broken me, ended up being the catalyst for one of the most transformative chapters of my life. I didn't just survive the situation, I thrived because of it. If there's one thing I learned through this experience, it's that sometimes the greatest success comes from the hardest challenges. Trust is a fragile thing, and when it's broken, it can feel like it will never be repaired. But if you find the strength to stand up for yourself, even when it feels like everything is falling apart, you can rebuild it in a way that's stronger and more resilient than before. Have you ever had someone close to you betray your trust? How did you handle it, and what did you learn from the experience? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear how others have turned their struggles into success. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories of resilience and personal growth.